Hey, what's going on, guys? This is RC Legends here, and today you may be clicking on this video wondering what type of series this is. It's titled Traxxas Rustler 4x4 VXL from stock to breaking 100 miles per hour. Now, this is going to be a video part series. This is part one. We're basically going through the build I'm going to be attempting to do to break 100 miles per hour. This car is very fast to start with. The body itself, if you've seen the Rustler 4x4, it tucks in really nicely here. And after I switch out and got that bigger pinion gear in there with the spur gear I was running, this thing is fast for any pretty much RC car I've driven. And I've driven G8Os, Slashes, slash 4x4 VXLs and all that stuff. But this thing is quick. I'd say the one downside for speed is how the tires stick out. If you look at any real huge speed run cars, the tires, of course, are tucked in more, which is something I can't really change. I'm sure I could, but, I'm just going to keep it like this. And I've looked up videos before, and people have broken 100 miles per hour with these cars before, so it's definitely possible. However, if you've noticed and you're ever actually serious about building a speed run type car like this, there's not a lot of guides out there. There's people who basically build and get builds that can do it, right, and beat, go over 100, but they don't like to share it for some reason. So I'm going to make a guide for you guys. And if I can break 100 miles per hour, I'm going to show you guys the complete build all the way up. I have no real plan of how I'm going to do it. Well, I have a plan of how I'm going to do it, but I should say with the stuff I've gotten so far, I'm not sure what's going to work and what's not. And feel free to leave any comments that can actually help me out if you ever built a speed run car before. But basically, through this build, I'm not going to be posting links to any parts until I'm 100% sure that I can beat 100 miles per hour. So that'll be the last video in this series, is the final test run of getting 100 miles per hour. Because I don't care how much time it takes or money it's going to take to get to 100 miles per hour. And I'm not saying that in a way like, oh, I'm going to get it. I'm just saying it's one of my goals for this car is to beat 100 miles per hour. And I just came up with that out of nowhere. But anyway, enough talk about, what I'm planning to do. Let's actually talk about what I have so far for this. And excuse this messy bench around me. It's pretty dirty, as you can see. That's only because, I drive this car off-road sometimes and it gets a little dirty. But anyway, the first things first. Oh, and another thing too, a lot of people think that they can just go out and buy a Castle Creations Mamba X or something like that and break 100 miles per hour. Yes, that motor will take you there, but your car handling at those speeds, and I'm not even talking about 100, I'm talking about 80, 90, or even 75. Your car stock handling those speeds is not going to be very well. So, at least from what I've heard. And I don't want to take that risk in because, if you get up to that fast and you crash, and it's a bad crash, going that fast, your car is going to break. Something's going to go wrong on it. Let's go through some quick upgrades so far. This video is just basically talking about it and showing you guys what I have so far, what I'm going to get in the future, and some more about this series. And if you guys could please help me out and subscribe, it's not only going to help me by showing who's actually really interested in building one of these cars or just here for entertainment and stuff like that, but it's also going to help you out if you're serious about building it, because you're going to be able to see through my trial and error what's going to work and what's not. So you don't go out there and buy all these parts thinking it's going to work and it doesn't get to the results you want. So the first thing I went out and bought was a 24 kilovolt Mamba or Castle Creations Mamba X. This is a censored brushless motor with the ESC combo, which is a Mamba X. This has a AA peak BEC. And, of course, it's got a 6S LiPo Max. Now, my plans, am I going to run 6S? Yes, I'm going to run 6S. How I'm going to do it? Let me show you guys a quick issue here with this car. First thing, also another part I need is I need a new chassis. I hit a rock going super fast. But the battery compartments for these cars are actually pretty small. So, for example, here I have a 4S battery, right? But this thing does not even fit. It doesn't fit lengthwise. And I apologize about that. I'm back. I just knocked my tripod over. But anyway, this is a 4S LiPo here, and it doesn't even fit in here. The problem is, first of all, the battery does fit for width, but the length does not fit. So Traxxas actually does sell longer chassis, which I would recommend if you just want a straight 4S for this. And I'm going to have to get a new chassis anyway. So I decided to basically, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Either get a 6S that can fit in here or take, let me see if I can grab one for you guys real fast. I'll show you exactly what I'm trying to do here. Just checking this. Hold on one second. Apologize. I think I'm going to skip this part anyway. All right, guys. either get 2 of these that fit right in here and stack them on top, and then just get a strap. And then I can get a Y connector for the ESC, which is actually going to be this Mamba X one. And once I get that Y connector, I can plug in 2 and basically run 6S through that. Problem is, I need to make sure current and everything is good with these wires. I've seen a lot of different people. I don't know the name of them off the top of my head, but they're not these connectors they use. They use these ones that are kind of like, it's kind of hard to explain. I don't have anything around to explain it, but it's kind of like a circle and it just kind of plugs into each other. But it's not these connectors. But anyway, enough about that. We'll get into that once I actually get some, stuff going with it. But yeah, so the plan is to use this 2400 kilovolt Mamba ESC or Mamba motor and ESC combo to get the power for the motor. But at that time, once I get this all hooked in, it's going to have a ton of power. And the problem with that is the car being stock, it's not going to be stable. These shocks this car is actually really low, and I broke a shock cap. That's the problem with this car. 2 problems with this car. In a lot of these type cars, you'll break the shock caps off. That's why I recommend getting new shocks. And you break half shafts. I don't know what it is about this Rustler, but if you do have one, you've probably broken a half shaft. That's exactly why I have 2 metal fronts, and I also picked up 2 metal rears for this too. Because I literally this one time was just driving and I slid into a mailbox and tapped right here. And it wasn't even that hard. It was pretty much all the way slid down. It was just kind of spinning. It hit right here and I checked it. Whole half shaft was broken off. And basically it breaks on these things as these are broken ones right here. There's another piece that hooks on right here and that goes into where the bearing is. And if you're broken, you know what I mean. But anyway, I had a lot of talking here. I know, guys, but this is not anything too exciting. But if you're still with the video right now, I appreciate it. Anyway, I'm going to have to solder on a new one of these connectors too. Not a big deal, but we're taking this out. We're taking that out. And that's enough for the motor. And also, if you are going to buy a Castle Creations motor, do your research on what kind of car you have. If you're going with the Rustler VXL, this is my personal recommendation. Do your own research, but I would recommend a 2200 kilovolt or a 2400 kilovolt. I'm going to 2400. It's going to be plenty power. And my only warning for you is make sure you get a 2.5 millimeter drive shaft or motor shaft for this. This is a 5 millimeter, and your stock pinion gear that you're using is not going to fit on there. So I had to order a new one of those because I just wasn't paying attention and ordered that. So that's one thing I can help you guys out with right away, so you don't make that same mistake if you don't take your time and buy stuff. Anyway, guys, I went out today to the RC shop and picked up some parts that I think are going to help with this build to go fast. Oh, and I also have this motor cooler that, I don't think this thing is going to be running hot. If you guys know, the Millennium does run pretty hot on 3S. It runs fine. I've never had any heat issues with it. It's just hot. And I've heard these ones do not run nearly as hot. But just in case, I got a dual motor cooling fan that kind of just clips on just like that and cools it. And I've plugged this thing in before. It's not the most powerful fan, but it does create some cooling. And it does have a heat sink that actually wraps around here. So we'll see if that does anything. Not too high of hopes for this. This thing was cheap. This is a Nitro Hobbies, I believe, and it's a good cooling fan. I'm just saying it's not like anything super powerful, but it's gonna help, especially with this Rustler's body that's trapped down in there, and there's not a lot of airflow, which gets through it, which is fine, because if you have airflow, if you've ever, for example, this is a Traxxas 4x4 right here. And if you put 3S on that thing and just keep pretty much the ride height stock, and you want to floor it, air is actually going to get sucked under the body and pull the car up. And that's something you do not want to happen, regardless of if you're trying to go 100 or even just, 60. So anyway, guys, let's go over some parts I got, and then we'll wrap up this video. So first thing I got is these are 2 front metal what is that, drive shaft? No, what am I talking about? These are 2 front steering blocks that are going to go. It's a 2-piece system with this car, and I just decided to go with the metal ones, not because of strength, because I don't want to, crash and break anything, but I feel like the metal, really tightened down with everything together is going to be a little bit more stronger and more stable. I've known guys that have done these builds before, and what they have done actually is gotten XO1 steering blocks because they're stronger and they're more stiff. And I don't really get the whole thing with it because it's plastic. It's plastic and it's still pretty strong, but just in case for stability issues, I went with the metal. Also to go with that, I got the rears right here. As you guys can see, these are the rear. I believe these are the stub axle carriers. See what else I got. I also don't, if you guys noticed, I do still have these stock half shafts right here, which break. I've never broken a rear, pretty much only the fronts, but I picked up metal rear half shafts to match the fronts. So these will be pretty cool. I had to get a new antenna because I've crashed pretty hard, so I got to cut that down and get that all seated up. That does not have anything to do with the build. I also got some, I believe, what are these? These are the metal caster blocks that go with these right here. So they kind of, you know, fit together in two pieces. That's one, that's a steering block, and that's the caster. So just to match that. Let's see what else I got. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Big bore shocks and springs. Or big bore springs and also big bore shocks. These guys are huge. If you guys, I know you can probably tell in the picture, but compared to the stock, these things are huge. My plan is to have pretty light, like an in-between of springy and stiff shocks. Not too, you know, not too stiff, but not too springy, so you can absorb it. And basically when the power of the motor pushes down, right, it's going to allow with the springs to push down, but also be stable with the, also be stable when, you know, you're going pretty fast. So yeah, I got some two sets of springs for it. Got the big bore shock kit. This is a little bit stiffer silicone oil, I believe, than the standard ones. I'm not 100% sure on that, but yeah, so we're gonna basically put these ones on, put the shocks in there, oil them up and everything like that, and lower them, you know, decently low. Another trick with speedrun cars that you want to know is, let me get all these parts out of the way, and we'll do an installation video and all that once I get my new chassis in, which I actually have to order tonight because I want to get these videos actually put out in a reasonable time so you guys aren't waiting around. But basically, with speedrun cars is you have to understand when you're running a motor like this with that much torque and pretty much overall power, when you do step on it and you really want to start going fast, this is going to push down a little bit because of the power it's distributing, and it's just going to add more power, just like in a regular car, right? You have a really fast car, you have to have good suspension because you're going to slam the ground when you want to step on it, right? So basically a trick with this one is my shock's busted, so it kind of looks like that now. But you want to have the rears just a little bit higher than the fronts. So basically you want it as low as pretty much possible. Not like this low, obviously, because you're going to hit anything, but pretty low. But you want this race a little bit more. So basically it matches with the front. So when you step on it, boom, it's even and it's completely flat on both sides. And yeah, guys, so that's pretty much it for this video. I kind of just talked about my ideas, what I have so far to build, what I'm going to get. I also need to get some new tires. I'm thinking going with the Jayco foams so they don't balloon. I've never had issues with these ballooning like I have with the Jado or any other kind of car, but you don't want any risk when you're, you know, trying to push these, you know, speeds. So either foam tires or maybe XO1 tires even. I don't really know. I heard people had pretty good results using Jado tires. This is a Jado tire right here. But, you know, I don't really know yet. That's something else I got to research. But if you guys have any recommendations of what tires I should get, please leave a comment down below, and I'll definitely look into that. Anything else you guys think I'm missing out in this build so far? Got the motor, got some good suspension parts going on here. Oh, also, last thing, guys. It says, saw online. This is not a Traxxas thing. It was some random site. They actually have where this is a caster arm right here, right? See this top one where this antenna's pointing to? They have one that goes from here and it extends out and bolts into right here and goes out here for extra stability. And I think that'd be great for the front, obviously, and it's the only spot that you can put it in, is the front to keep this thing straight. So if you know, if it's shaking, it's going all crazy and you're going super fast, with that extra support right in this middle here, I think that's gonna be pretty good. But anyway, guys, thanks for sticking around for this long video. Please subscribe. Any recommendations, questions, or anything like that, leave in the comments below. I'll try to get back to you guys as soon as I can. And anyway, guys, this is RC Legends, and we're gonna try to break 100 miles per hour one of these days, so it's coming soon. See you guys later.